All right, so I found one issue with the app. With the manage lock section, manage all locks. So for instance, I'm under UStore here. What it's not pulling across locks or units that don't have a lock associated with it. So meaning, if we go into vacant units here under UStore, it only shows the one that has a lock on it. Whereas if we go into the DaVinci app, right, so this is where it's pulling from under unit tasks, and I go under UStore, there should be three other ones. So there should be unit 1, 101, and 102, but they're not showing up in the app because I'm assuming because there's not a lock paired with it. So I need those to show up because essentially what happens is when my boots on the ground goes to the facility, they're gonna look. They're instructed to look at these tasks, and if there's not a unit or a lock code associated with that unit, so for instance, like unit number 1 here, they're gonna click on it and they're gonna enter the code just like this. So this is what it should do. They should be able to pair it and hit done to be able to pair a lock with that. Whereas here in our app, they're not going to have that information. And if I refresh it, it still doesn't come up. Do you see? And even if I refresh it in DaVinci app, right? So if I go back here and I sync DaVinci, it's still not showing up. And they only show up if there's a lock associated with it already. So I sync that, and then I'm going to sync this again. It needs to essentially pull over all the information from those tables, or else it's not going to work. Because then they're not going to know which DaVinci or which delinquent units to overlock. So let's see if there's any here. Unit tasks, delinquent ones. So those are already paired, so they're already in there. But then, for instance, if I go into my storage place and there's a vacant unit, there's one vacant unit. If I go and look into our app under my storage place and then go to manage all locks and I go to vacant units, there's none here. And I can even refresh it and see. And that's because there's no lock that is associated with that unit, so it's not showing up in here. Which it's got to show up in here regardless if there's a lock or not associated with that.